Hi.
Hi,
Your name?
Marion.
Marion? Hi, Marion. My name is Veronica.
Hi, Veronica.
I'm going to discuss a few things with you before we start our session. Okay. Well, like I said, my name is Veronica Castro. I'm a marriage and family therapist trainee. I work under the supervision of Hillary Catley, a licensed marriage family therapist. Uh, we will be, we may be discussing what occurs in our sessions with my supervisor from time to time. Also, if you were to give me written permission to speak to a third party, if that's something you choose. Also, there are some limits of our confidentiality. Uh, because I'm a mandated reporter, it is my legal and ethical obligation to report any child abuse, elder abuse, or dependent abuse. Meaning if there's any sexual, emotional, or well, those are the ramifications of that. Also, if there's any indication that you may be a harm to yourself or others, uh, it is my obligation to also report that and take care of all those involved. Now, do you have any questions in regard to the premise of confidentiality?
No.
No? Okay. So what brings you in today? What are your feelings and thoughts, and what did you want to discuss?
I might get a little bit emotional
That's okay.
because it has to do with my middle son.
Okay.
Just a year ago, like my middle son, like he's been every single year in his school, the teachers has to complain. Like the only complaint I get that he talks. He talks too much. He's out of his seat. He talks too much. He's out of his seat. And me and my husband were just so harsh on him because, we have a discipline system, and my oldest son is just like a straight A student and he's doing so good. My youngest one is like perfect. Her teachers love her. So my middle son was to us like a question like, why is he doing that? Why is he acting that way? Is it something with us? But then we see that we have been consistent in our, the way we're bringing up our children, and just he stands out, and it was so frustrating to me and my husband. Like my husband used to punish him, we'd take away his privileges and you have to be good. So just last year, and I realized that his sleeping too is not too good. Like every single night he would wake up and come and sleep next to us, and he's 12, so he's big. In the middle of the night he would wake up and come next to us. And then I was talking to one of my friends who's a therapist too, and she's like, Marian, he might be ADHD.
Okay.
And when she told me that, it was like somebody poured ice on me. I was like, and I was
difficult.
like,
It was difficult news to get.
It was so hard on me to accept just such a thing. And then I started going online and researching and like seeing what is ADHD and what are the symptoms. And like every single thing I read is like on my son. Like they said my son's handwriting is just horrible. Like he can't read it. And he's in 12th grade. And it was just like a constant fight at home. Sit down and write, and I'm gonna erase it. You have to redo it, all that. And then I just read about it, the ADHD children, like, because their brain is like so fast, they can't really, print neatly. This is one thing. So everything like started to make sense to me. And then I'm better right now, but when I just started putting things together, I was so emotional. Like, I would cry day and night, and I was just thinking like, my poor baby, you must have been going through a lot. And one of the things too is that, he has difficulty making friends. Like my son has been having his group of friends since kindergarten. They come to our house and they went together to high school, middle school, like, and like you see the consistency, my daughter too, and him, like nobody comes to his birthday, nobody. So I felt so bad, like, what is this happening to him? And now, after I knew this, it started hitting me like, this could be the real deal, this is why, everything is going wrong in his life, because he's probably ADHD and he's he's not in control of his, actions or sitting or standing, his sleep pattern, and for me, it was just so hard because I felt so much guilty that on top of all of this, I was a source of pressure to him because I wanted him to be perfect. Like, I wanted him to be a good student, and I wanted him to be organized at home. And it seemed like that's never going to be him because it's not his, it's out of his control. It's something in his brain. And then I had the option to diagnose him, and I read online, but then I felt like my husband's like, he's very like Egyptian, like Egyptians, like, we don't talk about mental health, we don't talk about this. And he was very angry with me. He's like, don't talk about him like that. Don't even think he's going to be, I'm going to work with him. I'm going to discipline him. I'm going to structure him and all that with love, but he's going to be better. And of course it's not, I mean, it has its ups and downs, but then I thought of like, I want to take him to see a doctor. I want to take him, and just, I'm so scared that they would medicate him, or, because if you see him, he's like a normal child, like at home, he laughs, he's happy, he plays his games, and he is responsible in a way, he does his homework and all that, but it's just his behavior in the classroom that's always like triggering his teachers and causing him stress. Like, he would cry and say, my teachers hate me. I'm like, every year your teacher hates you, every year. And then I'm starting to make sense of all of this right now, is that, like, they probably see him like as this undisciplined child, and that's not him, and this is putting probably a lot of, I don't want him to grow up having low self-esteem. Like, everybody's looking to him like, you're always out of your seat, you're asking too much questions, you're moving too much, or, you're unorganized, or have bad handwriting, whatever. And it's just affecting me so much, because if you see him, like, he's so sweet and he's so kind, like yesterday, my husband was telling me I was at school, the night I was at school on Wednesday, he took him to the supermarket, and then he's like, they did some grocery shopping, and he's like, I found Adel, his name is Adel, he disappeared, and then he went on a counter on his own, and he's like, he got you this cake for Valentine's, and he said, I want to get this for my mom, and I'm being it for my mom. You're so sweet, but life is so harsh on him, and I don't know what to do as a parent. Like, I feel like torn apart between like my culture, and then torn apart between, like, I'm a therapist, this is real business, he should be seeing somebody, if he needs to take medication, but then I say, I'm afraid, I don't want to put him on medication that would mess him up. I don't know what's going to happen to him if he takes medication,
Seems like a really emotional situation for you, and it seems like you're looking for answers. And it also sounds like you value your family and you worry about their well-being.
Yes, I do, especially that one is like, my middle son is like the most emotional, kind, heart giving, loving in the family. Like, like my oldest son, he's a teenager, he's rough, and he's like detached, and like he has his own world, he doesn't show you love or any of that. And my younger one has all this self-confidence, and she feels good about herself, and but my middle one, like, I don't know what to do. Like, I sleep and I wake up thinking about him, and then what can I do? He's gonna go into high school, this is gonna grow bigger, and
you're worried about his future.
Yes, I'm very worried about his future. Yes.
What do you think his future is gonna be like?
I don't know. I'm afraid that in high school, like now in middle school, maybe things are still like, intact, but like in high school, like with all those different subjects and all that, I don't know how he's gonna deal with all that, He's ADHD kids, they zoom out a lot, so they don't take out good notes and all that, and I'm afraid that will affect him academically. And I don't want that to happen to him because I don't want him to compare himself to his brother or his sister because they're doing good. And me and my husband, we obviously did good in schools, and my husband he's an engineer, he has a good job, and I'm doing my master's. So I don't want him to feel like, what's wrong with me? Why am I not like my, you know, like my siblings? And I care most for his self-esteem. And it seems like this sickness is like destroying his self-esteem because all of the negativity he's getting, from everybody around. And my source of stress really is that I'm lost and I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. As a mother, I want him to be good. Like I'm doing my part at home, and helping him with organizational skills and all that. I stopped yelling at him. Like before, I was like, every time I remember this brings also like guilt to me, like how I treated him before. Because I was thinking like, you have to do things the right way or else you're going to be punished. But now I feel like I'm changing also because I'm being a therapist, so I'm studying a lot about this as well, and I'm trying to learn how to stay calm and absorb him, and actually I'm connecting a lot with him better right now. But it's just like I never told him something like that. I don't want to tell him something like that because I don't know. I believe in my culture that when you're labeled, you live your sickness. And
The fear of labeling him.
yes, I don't want to label him, and so far he's been like, nobody in the people around us like notice anything, like like they think like he's the awesome kid and they love him and he's so funny and he's so nice and all that. But it's only me that knows all the details of his life that makes me, as you said, worried about him, worried about his future, confused, and I don't know. And just my husband is another source of stress because like every time I think about something, he's like, no. Like he would shut me off and like, and I feel like I want to do this for his good, and he's like, he thinks this is gonna harm him. So we also have this conflict between us. And for him, like as a man, like, my son is gonna grow up to be a man, and you're not gonna put any labels on him or, and
You sound frustrated with your situation.
very frustrated.
You sound also, I'm wondering if you're sad because you're not getting the support from your husband.
Yes, on top of everything that's making me very sad and angry, and I don't have the support of nobody. It's just be myself, I can't share it with my parents because my mom won't understand any of this. She's like, no, don't say that, nothing. He's just an active child, that's okay, and go talk to the teacher. She's gonna take it from. And now that I understand like what ADHD is, and I read about it and I hear about it and all that, and how it affects your life and all that, I see that it is something serious and it needs to be taken serious. And yet I'm just not doing anything about it.
What I'm hearing is you want to be heard. You're trying to find help for your son.
I definitely want to.
You seem lost because you're trying to find ways to help them in the most healthiest way. Yeah.
It's just like right now, I could say this is the only thing that's like daily. We deal with this daily in life, like his siblings just finish their food and clean up after themselves, and he's just like his stuff is all over the place, and you have to constantly be saying, go put your stuff away or clean up after yourself, and it's a struggle because my other son too now feels like I'm favoring one on him, like because I give my oldest son more chores to do or more duties to do because he's just he would do it, like get out the trash, he would do it. My middle son, like, is like if I say it like 10,000 times, It's like, okay, and he's not even here, I have to actually, say, I'm taking away your phone or I'm doing something so you can actually do what I want you to do. So my son is like, my oldest son, he's like, you don't love me anymore. I'm like, no, of course I love you, I love you all the same and all that. But he's like, so this is another stress too on me that, like I have to be a fair parent. And then it's just the natural thing, you're asking the one who's responsible to do the things for you. And he's like your right hand, it's more helpful.
Yeah. Seems like the dynamic in the family is also shifting, and you're trying to find balance in that and try to help your son in the process without making your other children feel left out because you are giving them the attention.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely, yes. And now that I've been like, I read about it and I'm trying to coach him to sleep in his bed because of his anxiety, like he would wake up in the middle of the night, all that. And like my two other kids would be like, I get so tired at night, so sometimes when I put him to bed, like they would sleep next to him. But then I'd wake up in the middle and go to my room, but then they're like, why don't you tuck us, like, I do tuck them, but I spend more time with him so that he's like, like he's calm, because he doesn't want to sleep in his room.
No.
He doesn't want to sleep in his room. So the only thing that would make him sleep in his room, if I say, I'm going to stay with you until you fall asleep, which has been working, but it's things like that, like I feel like torn apart about,
Explain to me, what do you mean by torn apart?
I mean, like, I want to be spending time with them, but then this child needs more of me, and then they feel like jealous, and then their relationship with each other, like they would yell at each other now and fight a lot, and sometimes I feel the guilt, like maybe because I'm treating him this way now that they notice, so they're getting more jealousy and they're bumping heads. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so I'm like, I don't know who to satisfy or who to make feel loved, because like sometimes I just sit down and I just cry because I feel like no matter what I do, like things are not going to change, and and I'm not wise enough to think about, I don't know how to deal with the whole thing, and so it creates a lot of stress in the house, the kids fighting together, and then me trying to coach my middle son to do things a certain way, and then the other kids interpret it as in like I'm favoring him, and I don't want to speak about, because your brother needs this extra help, or I don't want to say that.
So you don't explain it to the children?
I haven't
Okay.
done that. I don't want to do that.
What do you think will happen if you did?
I'm afraid, how kids are. Like kids sometimes when they fight together, they would vomit anything. I don't trust my older son because he's a teenager.
So you value your middle son's privacy?
Yes, I don't want him to go like, because you're retarded, or because you're, that's why you're doing this. Because they're boys and they're very close in age too, so they fight a lot. So yeah, I'm just very scared that he would emotionally hurt him if he. I mean, I would know he's gonna be very sweet, and because he's a good kid too, my oldest son. But then I don't know if things happen in between, like how would he react, or.
You're afraid it's going to make the situation more difficult?
It is difficult, and sometimes I put in my unconscious and I don't want to think about it, but then I would like be weeping inside. Like sometimes I even wonder, like, why is he ADHD? Did I do this to him? Yeah. Is it something that I brought him? I mean, is it something my fault that I did? Like maybe because he's the middle son, like, he got neglected, or I didn't give him much attention, because, they say that middle kids, like the youngest, take your most attention, the oldest, and then it just hurts me that I might be part of why he is the way he is right now.
It sounds like a difficult situation for you, Mary. Mayor, our term is almost up. I know this is difficult and we didn't come to a resolve. And I hope you talking about it somewhat helped a little. But I want to continue where we left off in our next session if you want to. Do you have any final thoughts or concerns before our session ends?
No, I just, next time we meet, I just like to set some goals, like how would I train myself to think, or
We can discuss that.
yes.
And that's absolutely something we can discuss in our next session. I am available between Monday through Friday. If you're, like I said, if you're wanting to see me again, I'd be more than happy to see you. Okay, and I really thank you for sharing your thoughts and feelings. And I see that you're going through a difficult time.
Thank you.
Right?
Thank you.
See you next week, okay?
Thank you.
Girl, I went over.
No.
Hold on.
Stop. What is that?